diversity and diversity of experiences and diversity of opinions and the natural conflict can indeed lead to some amazing sort of results. But the other C word is competition. And I think you can actually achieve the collaboration without the competition if you have trust. So when you're looking at conflict resolution, how do you see trust playing in between the parties, whether it's one or two parties or 8 or 9 parties? How do you see trust factoring into this idea?
I'm going to try and sort of break it down, because obviously trust has to be earned, and before it's established, and then if I then set that in organisational life, which is where the book obviously is set, then most organisations, of course, encourage higher structured by hierarchy, which in and of themselves that also encourage or gives rise to competitive behaviour. And one of the interesting things about collaboration in terms of its evolutionary benefit was that collaboration evolved out of a competitive in order for us to compete better. So and this goes back to altruism as well. So in order to collaborate with a group, you need to offer something that is beneficial to the group, and that might be your experience, your abilities, your knowledge, and in so doing, the fact that you become trusted within the group increases the likelihood, in evolutionary terms, that you will survive longer, that you will find a mate, and obviously then and procreate to communicate your genes into the future. So the act of collaboration itself arises from the competitive urge in evolutionary terms. And then if you set that inside an organisation, and I sort of attempted to prove this in the organisation that I ran, which or I should actually say helped to run, because when you get an organisation this side, nearly 4,000 people, you need lots of people in the senior leadership side as well. But in an effort to try and make collaboration and competition work together, I then thought, well, what is the natural disposition of the people who work in our line of work? And obviously I work in media, advertising, and marketing, and I recognise that might be a different breed of people who may work in healthcare, for instance. So what might be right from these findings may not be the same if you're working in the NHS. But I did some ongoing research with those people, and it was quite interesting. So, and I asked them if you would do the same if you got asked in an interview, went to a job interview, and in that job interview you get asked this all the time: are you a team player? Obviously, the intellectually right choice that I was just outlined would be to say, yeah, right. So, but your instincts, as I previously said, may scream otherwise. So, and in my survey, I was asking people to recall their first day in the job. So before any trust or relationships have been established with anyone in the organisation, and if they came to the role thinking of themselves as team players, and 77.5%, and these are the exact maths, so I know this because I did it for the long term, they claimed yes, always. And then 20% said yes, but only sometimes, which is, it's revealing a flexible approach, isn't it? And they obviously suggest they only play ball when it's advantageous to them, and it's definitely evolutionary in nature. And then there was a small minority who were brutally honest, 2.55%, and that's again is exact, who said an outright no, none of the time. So obviously that minority were honest. So how about the rest then? And then so I tried to cross-section that with, or cross-compare that with, so going back to their first day, imagining, do they come into the job, on a flight of fancy, do they imagine getting promoted in the future at some point? And 79%, so a significant majority, said yes. And intriguingly, nearly 50%, it was 48%, said they imagined working their way all the way to the top, CEO, so literally rising above everybody. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because promotion elevates you above your colleagues. And really, when you think about that, going back to your question, that jars against the success of the team, which demands everyone accept equal reward, equal recognition, all that sort of stuff. So it raises that question, is it possible? Is it possible to be truly collaborative if you also seek personal glory? And what can we do to deconstruct our organizations who are hierarchical in nature to therefore better establish trust, collaboration, etc.? And that goes back, to earning the trust. You have to actually therefore re-examine yourself to check out your true motivations. And if your true motivation is about personal glory, you have to be honest with yourself, then there's lots of exercises, which takes a bit of commitment. It's like yoga it's like internal yoga, I suppose, to work around that, to navigate around that.